With the expiration of certain tax exemptions under the Hawksbill Creek Agreement set to expire on August 4th, which is just 1 week away, parliamentarians debated a bill today to extend those concessions for the next 6 months.
Janelle Ferguson reports from Parliament tonight on the options being considered for the future economic growth of Freeport Grand Bahama.
Is it possible under this present construct for the city to be moved forward with the present equity distribution? Do new owners have to be found?
These are just some of the questions Minister of Foreign Affairs Fred Mitchell says should be addressed as the government moves to extend the concessions to licensees of the Grand Bahama Port Authority, which includes exemption of real property tax.
And people keep saying that that Grand Bahama and the city of Freeport makes these great contributions to the public treasury. The National Development Plan is doing the studies now, but the preliminary evidence is that they are a net consumer of government services. Yes, there's a great contribution to the Treasury, but the government puts plenty of resources into Grand Bahama.
Other questions surfacing relate to whether or not the Grand Bahama Port Authority promoted the island as a touristic and industrial destination, and have they fulfilled provisions mandated under the previous extension. Minister for Grand Bahama, Michael Darwell, contends that if the concessions continue, there must be checks and balances.
There were no measures put in place by the former administration with the necessary compliance to confirm whether the negotiations or the 21 concessions that were put in place were actually fulfilled.
Meanwhile, MP for Central Grand Bahama Nico Grant, while applauding the port for its advancement of Grand Bahama's infrastructure, criticized the government on its decision to extend the exemptions. He claims it leaves the licensees in limbo.
The business license fees needs to be extended at least for a minimum of 2 years. And in return for this extension, the government should follow past practices of successive government when amending the agreement in 1960, 1966, and when extending the agreement in 1993.
Minister of State for Finance, Michael Alkitis, contends that there are still some options left on the table.
To let the concessions expire. Second option would be to extend for a certain period of time. And another option would be to develop an agreement whereby there is some extension or some adjustment of the concessions for a particular period, and of course based and bounded by a particular and identifiable measurable criteria.
The original agreement was signed in 1995 and amended again in 1993. Janelle Ferguson, ZNS Network News.